So, ladies and gentlemen, while we're freshening up the stage a little bit, I would like to introduce our next speaker, who is Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister in charge of education and research. He is also a close advisor to Foreign Minister Zarif. His full title is also President of the Institute for Political and International Studies, better known as IPIS. He has a long and distinguished career in Iranian diplomacy and in the academia, and you should know that he regularly teaches a course on the role of humor in Iranian diplomacy. So brace yourself, and please join me in welcoming Dr. Kazem Sajjadpour.
Thank you.
Dr. Kazem, as we all know, the JCPOA, the nuclear deal, is in rough waters, and Europe has been at the forefront of defending that agreement. So from your point of view, how useful is it that, I think it was the deputy head of the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, openly talked about extending, increasing the range of Iran's ballistic missiles to also be able to reach Europe?
First of all, let me thank you for this meeting, and for the sake of analysis, I don't answer or refer to what Dr. Ebtesam said, because I think there is a line between analysis and accusation, and we are here for analysis. And in the same line of thought on JCPOA, in the broader scope of your question, I think, first of all, JCPOA in, let's say, in an alphabetical answer, we have to have A, B, C, D about it. D, I start by the last. D is, you have to detach it from other files.
Have you?
No. Look what I am saying. If you want to bring everything related to Iran on this deal, it would be a perpetuating process of no end. Oh, why we don't talk about this Iranian missile, range of Iranian missile, why this gentleman made such interview while the other didn't make. Deal is deal. It is independent of any other factor. C, everybody should cooperate on its implementation. And Iran has done its part. Not based of me, my report, it is based of IEA, the legitimate source of verifying Iranians' attachment and adherence to the deal. B, building blocks of this deal should be identified. Building blocks are diplomacy as means, document-oriented legal format of resolution by Security Council, and also the processes involved. So these should be kept in mind. And A, awareness of the nature of this deal. This deal was not just about Iran per se, or a bilateral relationship or multilateral relationship. Europe, and in particular your country, played a significant role in this process, which we appreciate, but it was a very significant move in international system, international politics, and I think it really changed the course of events. So you have to look at this level of analysis rather than picking one statement from this personality or that personality. In that respect, if you look at the alternatives of what the deal was and what the alternative of the deal is, that would be more explaining and more framing.
That's definitely a fair point. Still, when we look at the issue of missiles, of ballistic missiles, wouldn't you still say that this may not be a violation of the letter of the deal, but couldn't you argue that it's in some way a violation of the spirit of the agreement?
You know, a spirit is a matter of narration, and you can have different narratives on the spirit. Where a spirit is, I think we have a deal, it has a letter, there is a gauge for adhering to it. and that is the report of IAEA. Any other statement here and other should not be put in the spirit. I think because this spirit is an erroneous argument. Why? Because everything can be pulled on this issue. And why you look at just this side? Look at what the others are talking about us, including the previous panel. Iran is under constant pressure, not today, from the beginning of revolution. And I would argue, I know we don't have time, that whatever Iran has done is absolutely defensive. Defensive in nature. Look what pronouncements come out of Washington. Isn't it a spirit also? Read them. Be attentive to them. They are not talking about the spirit even. They are talking about not abiding to it, not accepting it, and if you go to the much more level of their argumentation, you see they even reject international law, which is the base of all this.
You talked, Dr. Kazem, you talked about trust in the region, or rather the absence of trust in the region, and how to build trust. So maybe here's a proposal for you. If Iran were to stop using proxies for its regional interest, I think that would be a very good trust-building measure vis-a-vis the GCC and other Arab countries.
You know, we are becoming addicted. I'm sorry to use this word. It's not for any negative. Addicted to quick analysis. Proxies, Iranian has proxies there. I think, as it was mentioned in the Westphalian funnel by Mrs. Khalaf, each of these individual files have their own evolutions. Iraq is different from Lebanon. Lebanon is different from Yemen. But simplification, reduction of analysis to one single factor. Hashd al-Shabi, which Dr. Abdeslam mentioned, is a part of Iraqi legal system. They are not under Iranian command. They are not under Iranian, let's say, centralized military staff. But it is easy to say everybody is a proxy of Iran. They are defending their land. Hashd al-Shabi is a part of Iraqi defense. And I think, to be fair, it's a part of Iraqi emerging national identity, which is rejective of these terrorist actions and occupations and so on and so forth. The case of Yemen is different. We don't have, I think this concept of proxy is not really explaining the realities, and I think it is even a misconception of what's going on in a broader region. Or even on the, let's say we talk about Iranian-Saudi conflict. We don't have conflict with anybody. What do? We have been on the record by our foreign minister, not once, several times. Actually, he has offered, including in this country, in February of this year, in Munich conference, that paragraph number 8, the operative paragraph number 8 of Resolution 598, which asks the Secretary General of the United Nations to organize a regional meeting for regional security design, is something that Iran is for and has not been implemented yet.
Dr. Kazem, I hate to throw another quote at you by another Iranian official close to the Supreme...
Quote more, I respond, don't worry.
I mean, we all know this quote about the 3 Arab capitals and the 4th one being Sana'a and all of that. But let me maybe try it in a different way. Iran is obviously the big kid on the block in the region. And you said, you know, this whole proxy argument is too simplistic. But what can Iran do in order to alleviate the fears, the concerns on the part of the GCC countries, which are obviously there?
It's very good. What we can offer is confidence-building measure. But when we offer confidence-building measure, and we have been on the record on that, legally, on the level of pronouncements, they say, oh, no. I think we have to go to the fundamental problems. The fundamental problem is much bigger than that, and I think blame game doesn't work. First, you have to have a good analysis. Blame game is the easiest way. But analysis of what can be happened and what has happened. Look, Iran is the only country in that region which is not dependent on the United States. It is providing its own security by itself. It has made a revolution for self-defense, reliance on its, and it's producing not just its security, all Iranian politics is domestically made. We are not fluctuated by pronouncements in Washington, in London, or in Paris, in Berlin, because our politics is homegrown, it is an independent country. And we are not like watching who said so, then our policies be changed.
So it's an Iran first policy.
No, it's not Iran first policy in the same paradigm as Trump is saying. No, we say we are independent. The problem with the others, and I don't name names, is that psychologically they cannot think of independent policies. Why they hated Obama? Because Obama was saying, stand by your own, you know. And I'm not defending Obama, I'm not in a position to defend Obama, but what I'm saying is this psychology of dependence, this psychology of reliance on the others, on equating everything with Iranian hand and not thinking of themselves, actually not thinking of their people, you know, not thinking of their own resources and wasting them in different areas. Look what the Yemen war has brought. Yemen war was started by a wrong assumption that it can be used in a month or less than a month to make a hero. Then it has depleted the coffer of Saudi Arabia, and along with creating this human mess. And of course, easily say Iranians or Houthis, you know. I mean, this is a very dynamic conflict. Actually, it's a personal miscalculation for very domestic power struggle. And I think these are the problems. All the problems start with a bad analysis.
That's definitely true, and therefore we will continue with some good analysis, and I would ask you for your
I'm
comments.
ready to take a first question by Ibtisam, who rejected my question.
We look forward to your comments and your questions.
This is the Iranian style, you know.
And whoever feels like being the first should raise his or her hand. No volunteers here? Ibtisam, you go ahead.
My dear Sajjadpour, we're coming to the same point every time. So all of this accusation. Now, Yemen, it wasn't accusation. It was declaration from your side. Syria, it's not accusation. Hezbollah cells in Kuwait, it's not accusation. It's all evidence. So if we don't put this on the table, in fact, we, GCC, how we look to the nuclear deal, we agree. This is a good deal, but Iran did not use it as a good deal. In fact, it used it for more penetration and expanding in the region, using the weak neighborhood to expand more. So if we want to reach a settlement to the dispute between us, in fact, we as a UAE, we have that export trade between you and us. We have about 70,000 Iranian in our land. So the problem was that also the hegemonic perception from your side, not from our side.
Ibtisam, I think we got the point.
Can I answer?
Would you, very briefly? Yeah.
I answer her independently, then I go to the other. Look, first of all, we are proud of Hezbollah. Hezbollah was the only force which fought the occupation, and I think not just Iranians are proud. Everybody who cares for rejection of occupation should be proud. And Hezbollah also fought extreme fundamentalist killers who you saw what they did as ISIS, and I think Hezbollah fought them. And of course, some of the elements in your region supported ISIS. Now, the question is, it is also simplification to use the concept of hegemony. It is not at all hegemony. But what I have questioned, and I don't want to get to a polemic question, why UAE is afraid of Muslim Brotherhood? Why UAE was pushing Kurdish independence? Why AU is making military bases here and there? Why it is in Africa making this whole military installation and so on and so forth? It is going beyond the capacity of a state such UAE, and we know what's happening, and we know Mohammed bin Zayed linked Mohammed bin Salman and all this mess which was created around Qatar. Qatar, you blockaded your neighbor from 3 corners, and it was only one space, which was Iran, and it opened its sky, opened its borders for humanitarian as well as brothers. Are you going to kill your brothers? Starve them? Qatar? I'm not defending Qatar, I'm not defending Muslim Brotherhood, I'm not going to that polemics at all. What I'm saying that your record is not a shining one. On the other hand, what Iran has done thus far, if Iran was not, Damascus was in the hand of ISIS, Baghdad was in the hand of ISIS, Erbil was in the hand of ISIS, and of course, we do it because of our narratives, interests, and so on and so forth.
Thank you, Dr. Kazem. I think we have, unfortunately, only time for one more question. There's a lady in the back over there.
Well, I would like to ask you, what advice do you have to Berlin to solve the tragedy which is now unfolding really massively in Yemen? And I would really like to ask you about it because it is unbelievable and there are millions and millions of people dying right now, so there has to be a solution. So please say, from your standpoint, what could be done or what is the way out? Thank you.
Thank you.
First of all, I appreciate the question. I think it is a good question and a humanitarian-based question. First of all, my advice is to take the crisis seriously. Yemen should not be on the periphery of our attention. People are killed. And as Professor Zahrani mentioned, the second advice would be go to causes of war. And causes of war is very clear, and stop to those causes, they can be stopped. Third, really put pressure on your allies. Don't be afraid and, let's say, hesitant to push, and it works. And I think if you put pressure on your allies for not bombing these innocent people, I think it works. And these pressures should up, and there should be an engine globally for this pressure. And I think maybe Germany can be. And I think you can also go to more other regional dimensions, but let me end the question. At least Germany and European can go for a de-escalation. Take de-escalation. If not solving the problem seriously, take de-escalation seriously, and I think it's possible.
Thank you, Dr. Kazem. Final question for you also. If you were for one day an advisor to Mohammed bin Salman, what would be the one single piece of advice to him?
Take Political Science 101.
Thank you very much. This was not quite an example of talking to each other rather than about each other, but it was almost, I would say. So thank you very much to both of you.